We are going to watch this video right now. WoW TBC Classic, expect big changes to the arena system. And it's true. There are a lot of changes to the arena system coming in TBC Classic that no one really has made a video about or talked about in a lot of detail. We've talked about it a little bit here on stream, but I expect this is going to be a very good video. I'm super excited. So let's play this. His past videos have been very good as well. So let me pause the music. Guys, this will be very, very informative. And if you plan on PvPing in TBC, you should probably pay attention. So guys, when I hit play, you guys all spam PogChamp. 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, lads? It's the Bald Boomer Biosparks.
Okay.
BlizzConline 2021 definitely had a lot of news concerning TBC Classic.
Okay,
and it only
that's true.
takes a little browse around the various internet forums, Reddit, and YouTube to see people praising, lamenting, or going into complete meltdowns regarding what was revealed, with all the major headlines revolving around paladin seals, level boosts, leatherworking drums, fresh servers, and so on. However, I think something was overlooked because of all the other major headlines, which gives us some clues that we're actually going to see quite a different arena system to what we had back in 2007 once Season 1 launches. Just before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you to those of you that subscribed recently, as well as those from the very beginning. This channel has absolutely exploded since I last posted my level 60 to 70 launch week guide, with the subscriber count quadrupling to over 2,000 and the amount of viewers increasing by over 4,000%.
It's a lot of new viewers.
That was in no small part thanks to Staysafe and his community, who highlighted 2 of my videos on his stream.
You should all sub.
TV, which just catapulted my channel.
You should all sub. It's a good channel.
Algorithm.
Good channel.
So I definitely want to extend my thanks to him and his community. Since I've received a lot of video requests and topics, I just want to let those who are new here know that I work as a full-time teacher, and we're in the middle of transitioning from online-based learning to returning back to school during this crazy and chaotic COVID pandemic. This YouTube channel was made when I was bored during the summer holidays, and it became a little hobby I enjoyed in my spare time, in which I don't earn a single penny from at the moment. I hope you will understand that I will, in most cases, only upload a video once a week, and occasionally twice if I have the time.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I'm just a guy who played way too much Burning Crusade back when he was 15, and loves to talk about it just a little too much. But I'm just humbled that people spend their time to hear what...
Hopefully, he starts making more videos more frequently, which is going to give me more content to watch on my stream.
I have to say. But in any case, that's enough stalling from me. It's time for today's video. Firstly, let's have a look at our first clip from BlizzCon, which gives some clues about how the arena system will be changing.
Is that when we did personal ratings versus team ratings?
I think that came later, and we're also considering whether or not we want to do something with that as well. Because another thing that was problematic about arenas was the way that the ELO system was so inflationary. And so we're talking about whether or not we want to move forward with converting that to something more like the modern MMR system, so that it isn't as punishing to people in terms of like waiting hours for a match at the highest levels and things like that.
So from this clip, Brian Birmingham is stating there is some clear intent from Blizzard to move away from the ELO system that was originally used for the arena and opt for an MMR system instead. It also looks like personal rating, which was used in later seasons to make sure a player was eligible to buy a piece of arena gear that was gated behind a rating check, might get removed as well, but we'll have to wait for more information on that. What does this change mean for PvPers who want to participate?
Blumpers, I appreciate it, man.
So the ELO system was something that was originally...
No teams. Well, I mean, you're still going to have teams. How I guess this is going to play out, you'll be on a team. Let's say it's a 3s team. More than 3 people will be allowed on the team. So you can have, I think it said 6 people per team. So you could have, not every game that's being played on this team you would be a part of necessarily. Like when you're offline, they could do games without you with the other partners. And so you'd have no longer a team rating and only a personal rating / MMR value, I think. And so let's say on your 3s team right now, you have one guy who's 2K personal rating, and that's his MMR value. You have another guy who is 2100, another guy who's 2300. It would average it out. What is that, like, around 2150 or something like that? It would average it out. So even though one guy is 2300, one guy's 2K, you're, as a 3-person unit collective, you would be queuing at around a 2150 or around their ballpark value. So and that's different than how it was back in there. I think he's going to explain what ELO is here, so let's listen to it.
In place, which had a set scale from 0 to 3000 rating. To sum it up briefly, you would have the vast majority of teams that would range from 1400 to 1600 rating, and the higher your team climbed the ladder, the fewer opposing teams were up there with you. The important thing to understand about the ELO system is that it only cares what the rating of the team is and not the individual players.
True.
This meant that teams that broke the 2000 rating mark would normally either face teams that were slightly below and slightly above them. However, those that pushed towards the very top of the ladder, let's say around 2400 rating, they would generally only play teams that were at a rating substantially lower than them, because there were just so few teams that were around the same rating as them, and they weren't necessarily participating in the arena at the same time of day. This normally caused very long queues for the highest ranked teams, and a win would grant somewhere between 3 to 5 rating.
I remember
However,
that.
if that
Remember that?
2400 rating team lost a match to a team far below them, they could easily lose 24 rating. This created a demand.
It was very frustrating. Like, you would win 10 games, and you would get... Now, let's say you win 5 games, and you gain, like, 15 points. Like, 3 points per win. And then you lose 1 game, and you lose, like, 20 or 25 points. It was like, oh, dude. This is why in TBC, you never really saw people that were much higher than 2400. It just got so incredibly grindy and punishing. Like, if you kept ranking up, you'd get to a point, like, you're 25... I don't know what the highest team was in TBC. The highest I got, it was like 2380 is the highest we got. But yeah, I'd imagine if you're like 2500, and that was very exceptionally uncommon, you're getting like 1 point per game. No, there was never a team that got 3K in TBC. The first time anyone got 3K in World of Warcraft was in Cataclysm, and it was Wreckful. It was Wreckful's team. But no, in TBC, no one ever got 3K. That was crazy. That was crazy high.
For players at the top to be
Crazy
very
high.
good with extremely high win rates against teams that were generally a few levels of skill below them. This resulted in wins granting 3 rating after every game, but if they lost one match they could lose 24 rating, which meant you literally just lost all that time and progress that you made in the last 8 matches, which can be absolutely devastating, and I'm sure many Burning Crusade players back in the day probably still have PTSD from that experience. Now, the main drawback of the ELO system is that it was designed for 1v1 scenarios. A game like chess uses this system most widely, and it is used to try and accurately predict who would win between 2 players, and it's useful in chess tournaments to match players of similar skill. Using this system in the arena matches, however, is very difficult, because you have the 2v2 bracket, the 3v3 bracket, which is obviously and undeniably the best bracket, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, 100% unbiased opinion, by the way, and the 5v5 bracket. On top of this, you have 9 different classes participating, which all have their own viability in what different team compositions they can play. So having all these variables in the arena with a simple ELO system that was originally created for 1v1s is clearly quite flawed. Now, if we look at the MMR system that Blizzard is looking to implement, it has a distinct advantage over ELO because of the fact that it takes into account the impact and ability of every single member of the team. MMR is a hidden rating that the game applies to you as an individual, which can then be applied to all members of the team, and...
Well, true. I mean, is there a reason why your MMR in a personal rating system wouldn't always just be your PR? Couldn't your MMR just always be exactly the same as your personal rating and it would be totally fine? So you would know what your MMR value is because that's what your personal rating is. Or is there a reason why your MMR would be different than your PR? Like, I don't really see a reason why not, right?
give them an average MMR rating to predict where their rating should be. The MMR system is constantly trying to find where a team belongs, so that they are competing against players where it predicts a 50% win ratio based on their skill. Here's a clip by X-Scoundrel who explains the MMR system much better than I ever could.
MMR is a system that is designed to get out of that 1v1 scenario. The ELO system was designed for 1v1 games, and it was so easily applied across multiple platforms. But when it came to team games, it found it very difficult to predict the outcome because it could not weigh the individual impact of a team member on the overall outcome of a game. And that's where MMR came into play. MMR is a modified ELO system designed to take individual inputs of your own personal MMR and make a prediction for you based on the overall or the average MMR of each team.
No shit.
So if you were the 1900 member here and you're going into a game where the average MMR is floating around 1600, you would gain a lot less for the win because you were predicted as an individual to win. However, if you as an individual at 1100, like the bottom chap on the left, he gets a lot more MMR for the win, because he was predicted to lose. He was much lower than the average.
So this would also mean, let's say this is your threes team, and you beat these guys, okay? This guy, who's 1150 MMR, would get more points for the win than this guy who's 1950. So this guy might get like 3 or 4 points for a win, and this guy would get like, 15 points for a win, right? I think that's how it should work.
MMR of the team.
Right, I think that's how it does
this
work.
makes individual predictions based on your particular impact in a team game. And this is especially useful in team games where you are playing with people that you don't know or don't have a team synergy with. And this is why the MMR system is used in online games like League of Legends, like Dota, and like Vainglory, because it weighs your individual input in a team game. So it's designed to go past that ELO system that is a flat outcome from the result and tailor the results to impact you as an individual.
So, with a more modern MMR system implemented, we will see the situation we had in arenas back in 2007 shift to a scenario where players will be matched with those of similar skill. Okay, so that's enough explanation about the system,
fucked.
because you're probably thinking right now, but Biosparks, how exactly does this affect me as a player in my arena team? Well, what will likely happen is we will still have team ratings that range from 0 to 3000 to determine how many arena points you get each week, but the MMR system will be hidden in the background to decide which teams get matched together. Here's a clear example. Let's say a team of players who are around 2200 MMR make a new team and start off back at 1500 rating.
Okay.
Now, even though their team rating is only 1500, their MMR makes them play matches against other teams that are around 2200 MMR.
Okay.
What will happen is if the newly made team at 1500 beats the 2200 rating team, then they will jump up, let's say, plus 50 rating, because their team rating
True.
is much lower than where they should be, and
Yep.
the MMR system is trying to get them where they're supposed to be,
Yep.
which is around 2200. However, for the team that lost, because they lost to a team that had the same MMR of 2200,
It's not that
they would
bad.
only lose minus 15 rating, even though the team rating they lost against was 1500.
This is good.
As you
Yep.
can imagine, if this scenario played out in a flawed ELO system, then the team that lost would have lost an incredible amount of rating, even though they were playing against a team that was of equal skill. Ultimately, what this does is make the arena much more competitive and less punishing for teams that are high rated that lose to equal skilled opponents who just happen to have a lower team rating. On top of this, because the MMR system is actively trying to match teams of equal skill against each other, players will experience less queue times, especially because of the fact that servers will not be split into battle groups in TBC Classic. It will be one huge region-based battle group, which creates a much larger pool of players to compete in the arena. This also ties in with the next change to the arena system. Let's take a look at the second clip at BlizzCon.
In
This is
Burning
good-
Crusade,
a good
how
change.
will PvP titles such as Gladiator, Duelist, and Rival be determined, considering we don't have established battle groups? And I got a little follow-up to that, depending on what you say.
Sure. I mean, that's a really good question, and that comes from, like, originally there was a award for the top player in each battle group, and that really came from the fact that we had technical restrictions where people playing on different, like, hardware installations, like different data center sites, couldn't play with ones playing in other data center sites. And we actually don't have that restriction anymore. You can actually match make players across the entire region. And so we think a more fair way to approach this today is to just do a small percentage of people at the very top. We do want to award it to more than like one person, but still a very exclusive title.
The rewards for
There
the
you
top
go.
players are very prestigious. You're given a gladiator title that very few people will have, and you'll receive a nether drake that flies at 310% increased speed, which pretty much makes it best in slot for gathering professions, especially
That's
for
fucking
paladins with
fast.
Crusader Aura that will give them 330% increased speed, which is ridiculously fast. Originally, this reward was
Dude, every time. Is this going to be in chat? Nope, I haven't seen it. Every time you bring up Crusader Aura, people say,
Well, technically, the percentage speed increase isn't additive, so it's 20% of 310%, which is not necessarily 330. It's... Okay, dude.
given 330% increased speed, which is ridiculously fast. Originally, this reward was reserved for the top 0.5% of teams, which I believe will still remain the same in the region-based battle group. However, the most elite and prestigious titles of all were the named gladiator titles.
true.
Some of you will remember them as the Merciless Gladiator, Vengeful Gladiator, and Brutal Gladiator
Oh,
for Season
fuck.
2, 3, and 4 respectively.
Honestly, dude, Brutal Gladiator is the best title. I really want Season 3 Glad for the mount. I think Season 3 is the best mount, but this is the best title. Brutal Gladiator. Fuck.
These titles were for the rank 1 team in the entire 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 brackets in their battle group. So only 13 teams would have received this title in their respective brackets in North America, and 16 teams in Europe 13 years ago. Now, the question here is, how exactly is Blizzard going to handle this if the entire region is in one battle group? Well, this is what I think is going to happen. Just so we can visualize some numbers to create an example, we can use Europe, which approximately has 132,000 active raiders from Ironforge.pro. Hypothetically, if they all made a 3v3 team, which will be the most popular bracket, you'll end up with 44,000 teams. Now, 0.5% of that will have the top 220 teams eligible for a Gladiator title, and the top 0.1% will have 44 teams that will earn a named Gladiator title, which is quite a lot more compared to the 13 or 16 teams in North America and Europe that
Any
we had
crawlers?
13 years ago.
SSTV pull tail,
But before we get ahead
SSTV
of
pull ready,
ourselves, this
SSTV
number
pull
assumes
head.
that everyone in that pool of players will participate, which
What's up,
obviously
Smokey?
won't be the case, since not everyone is interested in the arena, which means that the number of Gladiator titles will also be lower than the numbers we just used. Which is why my prediction is we're going to have the same system as retail
I think it should be
now,
0.1.
where the top 0.1% will earn the named Gladiator title. So as you can imagine, if it's only the top 0.1% of players to get the named Gladiator title, even if there is a huge pool of players, there still aren't that many spots.
Wait a minute. It wasn't 0.5, it was 0.05%. Right? Isn't it 0.05% and not 0.5%? I'm pretty sure it was it's 0.5. All right, never mind. I'm bugging,
To
dude.
get it, which will create a very competitive environment at the
Never
top
mind,
of the ladder.
dude.
The only other thing that could also change is just how high will the team ratings go. With the new MMR system being implemented in one huge battle group with a massive pool of players, it begs the question, just how competitive will arena players be in 2021? Will we have a team that manages to hit the 3,000 rating cap? Probably not, but
I
it will
doubt
certainly
it.
be much higher than we saw arena team
I
ratings
doubt.
back in 2007. Because with the combination of player skill, min-maxing team compositions, a huge player pool, and the competitive drive to be the best being higher than ever before, what I do know is that we will definitely have 4 very intense arena seasons waiting for us in the Burning Crusade Classic. So in summary, the arena looks like it's going to have an MMR system replacing ELO to consistently match equal skilled opponents and lower queue times to increase competitiveness. The named Gladiator titles will become available to the top 0.1% of teams instead of just the rank 1 teams. And finally, with a huge pool of players from a region-based battle group and improved match-finding technology, team ratings will become much higher on average than they were back in 2007. And that is all for now. I'm curious how you think
This
these
was a really good
changes will
video.
affect the arena system. Let me know in the comments below.
I'm telling you, dude, hey, invest in Biosparks TV. He makes nothing but good videos. Home run after home run after home run. You should sub. Dude, yeah, honestly, all of these arena system changes, I think these are good changes. They actually are. I think that MMR is generally better than ELO.